All right, everyone, welcome back. We are live again for the Shining Light on Revolution healing event. All day we've been doing this. It's been so exciting, so activating. We just got done watching part 2 of the roundtable discussion. So definitely comment on how that flowed with you all. What did that bring up for you all? What questions do you have? Let's get that conversation going and continuing, because this is going to really encourage us to just not ignore the conversations we need to have. And so I'm so glad that you guys were able to watch that. And if you didn't watch it, make sure to check all the replays, because all the replays for all the segments of this event are available via that promo video that I posted a couple of days ago. If you click the description, you will be able to see all the direct links for every single segment in case there's anything weird with the Mercury retrograde and technology. I made it really easy for you guys to have access to the direct links. But I want to really get into what we're here for right now, and that is some amazing resource sharing from my dear friend and sister, Admaira. She is a community organizer for BLM Phoenix Metro, and she is also a healer of many sorts in all of the work and service that she provides to the community. So I'm so excited to have her here. Welcome, Admaira. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Rissa. I really appreciate it. This event's been going really smoothly, and so I'm excited to be a part of it for sure.
Yes, I am so excited to have you here, and I can't wait for you to dive into all of the amazing things that you're going to share with this audience. I also want to remind the audience that we are in support of BLM Phoenix Metro with this healing event. Yes, so please, please, please go check out the links in every single description of these segments. You will see the link to donate to this organization and really support the movement in a very, very valuable and productive way. So with that being said, I'm going to pass the torch to Admaira. I'm going to get out of the way and let her do her thing.
Appreciate you, Rissa.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, y'all. It's so good to be here. I really appreciate everyone showing up, whoever's watching this. I am Admaira. I use they, them, and she, her pronouns, and I am with BLM Phoenix Metro. I am one of the ministers of community healing and wellness with BLM. So BLM does a lot of work, and so I'm going to share some of what we do and what we hold true as we move forward in the movement, as we've been doing this work. And I'm also going to share a little bit about myself, and then let you know some other great work being done within the Black healing community that you could get plugged into and support. So BLM Phoenix Metro, we are a critical, radical, predominantly Black femme-led abolitionist organization. So that means a lot of things, but we're really big on challenging the hegemonic and the normalized white supremacist system, and finding new ways to build community and support the people who are more vulnerable, more impacted by different legislations that are pretty harmful. So we interact with communities, Black communities specifically, and then all other communities, allies, Black, Brown, Indigenous folks. We interact very differently, but also very impactfully. So we are guided by a belief of 25% deconstruct and 75% construct. So in that 25%, where we're deconstructing, dismantling, defunding, a lot of that work is what you see in the headlines about us wanting to abolish the police and what that looks like and how do we want to get rid of the police. A lot of things that we call for within our demands when we are protesting, if that's what we're doing at that time, does call for abolition work. So what that really means is bringing awareness to the police violence at hand. A lot of folks have gotten plugged into the movement because of the death of George Floyd. And I'm in Phoenix, and there was also a death that same day of Deion Johnson. So we've been pushing for the demands of his family to be met. So there's a lot of work being done, and it's pretty complex if you're not used to an organizing, if you don't have an organizing background, but it's also really easy to get plugged in. It's really easy to support. And we're also just really awesome humans that are doing great work on the grounds. So when it comes to construct and 75%, we have a lot of different branches within the BLM Phoenix Metro organization. And BLM the Black Lives Matter movement started years ago in like 2017 or so. And, we really started finding ourselves, and I became a part of this movement just a little over a year ago within this chapter. But really, it was led, BLM, the movement was led by queer Black women who were stating that Black Lives Matter after Trayvon Martin was shot. And, since then, it's been a decentralized movement. So you're not going to find the core to the entire movement somewhere necessarily. You're going to see branches and pockets. And so BLM Phoenix Metro is a pocket, is a chapter doing incredible work in Phoenix, in the Phoenix Metro area. And part of our organization, we have different branches, different ministries, what we call them. And so that's why I said I am one of the ministers of community healing and wellness. And then we also have another minister of healing and wellness. We have an activism ministry. We have an education ministry. We have a policy ministry, communications ministry, and an art ministry. And so we're all doing incredible work. And we are making sure we center Black folks. We're making sure we have POC folks centered as well. And white folks have a role in the movement. And we also do trainings and workshops. So everyone, has the background and is able to understand our values as we move. I know it's a lot for sure. But the deconstruct is really when we push for abolition. A lot of folks say, like, they question, how are we gonna have a society without cops, without prisons, without detention centers? And so that's really where we work on constructing and building with community of what our needs are. A society without police could look like a lot of things, right? And so, privilege and property and exploitation aren't going to be protected by the law enforcement like it is right now. Communities' needs are going to be met more because there's like billions of dollars that goes into funding the police, and that money could be going into more sustainable facets of society like education, mental health, housing, secure housing infrastructure, and being able to learn how to deal with disparities that are around in our society. So folks are scared of crime and violence, but that is exactly what prisons perpetuate. So we really like to understand how we can work with community members, marginalized identities, how we can build trust together and learn how to depend on each other without having to put people in cages in order to feel safe, because there's lots of ways to feel safe. And so we really try to build upon how we can create a safer world without police, without violence, and on a systematic level, And so it really looks different in a lot of different ways with policy, with education. We have an education ministry that really centers learning about our history that's been erased, and a lot of different history that's been erased by colonialism. And so this is a lot of information I'm sharing about BLM Phoenix Metro right now, but it's intricate, but it's really you gotta learn with us, build with us, and you really get a better idea of what we do. So my own positionality, I'm a Black, queer, non-binary person. I'm not from Phoenix. I moved out here from Chicago, and I did work out there. I don't claim to be an expert on any particular healing modalities. I hold space for people, and I do that just by being myself. I'm very patient with my spiritual journey and my practices, and I encourage folks to do that more often, to just be mindful that you're not picking pieces from spirituality that aren't in alignment with your truth and aren't in alignment with your ancestors, and just being mindful as we move forward. In our table discussion, if you saw the previous segments where we talked about cultural appropriation, those are big things that are prevalent in a lot of, just everywhere, really, music industry, spiritual communities, it's everywhere. So I think just being patient with learning our truth is important. And so that's kind of what I do. I work with young adults that have mental behavioral needs. And so just holding space is what I've learned how to do, is be patient with holding space for people. And so I invite folks to continue to push themselves, to hold space even if you don't have those experiences yourself, having the empathy to hold space for people and uphold their values and what they deal with and stuff, because there's a lots of different divisive things that go on in the society when it comes to homophobia, transphobia, racism, classism, fat phobia. So how are we going to unlearn those things within ourselves? And so that's kind of how I move. And our organization as BLM, we really uphold being accepting and inclusive, and if there's harmful things that come up, how can we work through them without calling the cops? So I really invite folks to examine your own positionality within the movement. There's a lot of stereotypes, there's a lot of projections that happen, and a lot of them are forced onto Black, brown, marginalized identities and bodies. And so how can we move through society and take away those stigmas that we think are associated with the Black body or associated with the fat body? Like, how can we unlearn things like that? Because they're very harmful for society. And so as we start on our spiritual journeys, or as we continue on our spiritual journeys, how are we going to embrace parts of ourselves so we can also see other people? I was talking with a comrade recently and just talking about how anti-Blackness is another form of being anti-human. Like, how can you not have empathy for others or their experiences to the point where you don't think that they deserve life, or you think that their death was justified, right? And so there's lots of different conversations to be had in terms of like how we unlearn some things within ourselves so we can continue to build with people with compassion and with acceptance and inclusion and patience, right? So there's a lot of work to be done, and I just appreciate the space so much. I appreciate the healers that are on this segment. It's really great for us to be having these conversations. Please check out the table discussions that we talked about, lots of different ways of moving through this revolution, this Black uprising, this, uprising where we're all coming together in order to dismantle a system that's killing us, that's caging us, that's really causing a lot of trauma when we walk through the streets. If we have stigmas on us and we're treated like we have a stigma, think about how that causes trauma to the psyche, how that causes disconnection within our own bodies. And it's really all about taking empathy and really applying it to people we don't understand. And you don't have to understand something to respect it, right? So maybe this is confusing for you, but we need to have more respect for each other so we know how to navigate systems of oppression that we're trying to unlearn and dismantle. So I really encourage everyone to just take a moment to examine your position and how you can play your best role and honor your truth and honor your voice, honor your ancestors, and bring your truth to the movement, bring your truth to this new world we're trying to create. I also have some other resources in terms of other orgs doing awesome work. There's a lot of different healers, Black spiritualists, and just radical people that are healing in the sense of their just being. And to live in a world where you're told you're wrong, your body, the way you dress, the way your skin color is wrong, just being is a revolutionary act sometimes. And so I'd like to share more about some of the people that I follow and just kind of praise in that sense. And then we also have a lot of information on our own BLM Phoenix Metro page. So I'll tell you how you can get connected with BLM Phoenix Metro and a lot of the orgs that we work very closely with, especially if you're in Phoenix. There's a lot of, there's like a Black-led coalition right now. We really group together and are holding each other tight in this sense of how we're going to work together to dismantle what's going on, because it's heartbreaking, but it's also, we can't let it paralyze us. And so you can go on our Instagram page. It's BLM PHX Metro. And you can see a lot of the things we're doing. We also have a website that's also blmphxmetro.org. And we have a Twitter page, and they're pretty much very similar handles. And so you can get connected with us and figure out what we're up to, what we're doing. We have healing events, we have open mics, we have lots of different things you can get plugged into, workshops, trainings, and we'd love to have more folks joining us and supporting us, you know, and just doing what you can in the movement. And some other awesome orgs that I wanted to just recognize, Drinking Gourd Farms, you can find them also on Instagram. Drinking Gourd Farms is working with building a movement around gardeners and farmers and providing food to Black families during this time of the pandemic and doing a lot of work in that sense. And A Little Juju podcast is also a great, this person is amazing. They're a Black healer. They have a decolonial lens, and they are what they call Black ass spirituality. And I love them. And I encourage folks to tune into a lot of what they share. Ashe Living has a lot, they're a clinical herbalist, and they decolonial spiritual care. And they also have a lot of work being put out there when it comes to different healing modalities and sharing the word. I Am a Healing Healer is on Instagram as well. She also has awesome work. Hood Yoga is in Phoenix, and they are amazing when it comes to providing yoga and all of its entirety and the culture it comes from, and really helping Black folks and marginalized identities, and then everyone else tune into their body and feel into their body and get in tune with their mind, spirit, and body. And I love it. Imperfect Healing is also an awesome resource, and re.collects, re.collext. They are also a two-spirited decolonial care worker. They do amazing work on so many different levels. They're Indigenous, and you know, we need to follow Indigenous Black, you know, we need to follow their leadership in lots of different ways. You know, it's important for us to support grassroots organizing. And so hopefully I didn't go too fast. I'll make sure Rissa has a list of some of the folks I'm sharing, but we definitely want to connect with the local work being done and the identities that are not just so mainstream. You know, you can't just follow that. Like, we're trying to create a new world where everyone's included. So if everyone is included in this new world, we really need to support the work of folks that are non-binary, that are trans, that are Black, brown, Indigenous, two-spirited. We really need to tune into what's going on so we can connect with experiences that we haven't faced ourselves. And that's going to create just the utmost empathy. And so I really hope this resource sharing was informative. I know it was a lot of information. There's a lot more out there. You can do your research, unlearn some of the things that we've been taught in this westernized society and, you know, capitalistic, racist society, and really work through the traumas so we can build better futures together. And so I really hope this was helpful. If you have questions, I could check the chat now, but let me see if there's any questions. Did you see any questions pop up, Rissa?
I didn't see any questions, no, but lots of really, really positive support and just loving all the resources you shared as well. Just really, really powerful. I think it'll be so great to have, like you said, those links. I'll throw them in the description. That way people can jump right in and follow all of those amazing people that you mentioned. And also, Admaira, would you mind, just for clarification for some people that were asking some questions in the part 2 of the roundtable, can you just explain a little bit of your affiliation as an organization with or not with the global BLM and kind of the reason for that a little bit, just out of your own words?
Yeah, so I mentioned before that it's very decentralized, the Black Lives Matter movement. So the global BLM, we're not necessarily affiliated with them. There are some values we share for sure, but then we also have our own extensive values. So it's really like, of course, Black folks fighting for the movement, we're in support of, but we don't share money, we don't share events, you know, we do our own thing. BLM Phoenix Metro, we do our own thing and we honor their work, of course, but we're not necessarily tied to their work or tied to what they're doing or the donations they get. Like our donations are very much separate, you know. So if you're donating to the global movement, then that's who you donate to. But if you go donate to us, like that's who it comes to. And with our money and our donations, we have a jail fund, jail bonds, so we can help if folks get arrested protesting. We can help support them with legal team and, you know, bonding them out. We also, we're pretty much unpaid organizers. So once we get to a level like where we could get some type of compensation, we'll also be happy about that. But this work is from our hearts. And we support the jail fund. And we also give money to victims of police violence and their families. So Deion Johnson, we have a fund for his family, and we work very closely with victims of police violence and their families, and even have them in healing sessions that we have. Rissa, you've even led one, and there was a family that got abused by the police pretty brutally, and so they were able to show up at one of our healing events, and we just want to continue to hold those spaces where folks can show up to, especially with those kind of traumas, and we're trying to dismantle those traumas from happening. So it's like, come to these spaces, let's work through them, we're here for you so we can rebuild.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's so important for people to know that BLM Phoenix Metro is its own organization, and all the money that you guys collect, you are giving straight to the families, the victims of police violence, and for funding for people who are out there protesting and doing the work, and just allowing you all to continue the work that you're doing in the community. So thank you for clarifying that. Super important. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this segment. I think it's so important. Please, please, please send this video to everybody that you know that may need some resources right now and may want to shine more light on revolution, and also to just join the movement. It's so important that we all do our part to play our role in this revolution that we are experiencing as a collective. And thank you so much, Admaira and BLM Phoenix Metro, for all of your hard work and dedication to the community and the ways in which you are making change. I see it, I feel it, and I am so grateful to support it here with this event. So please, everyone, make sure to donate to BLM Phoenix Metro. I put the link in the comments. I also put it in the description of this video and all of the video segments that we have going on today. And just after this segment, I will be tapping back in with all of you solo to host a visualization for the collective to help us all imagine that new earth energy we're creating, to help us manifest it as a collective. So I will be back to do that and give a little energy cleanse for you all as well virtually in just about 30 minutes, right around 3:15. I'll be back for you all Pacific time. But other than that, I will see you then. And thank you again, Admaira, for joining.
Thank you so much, Rissa.
Yeah.